All right. How's it going today?
I've been doing okay. Yeah.
Good. Um, how have you been since last time we talked? Anything happen in between there?
I think things just stayed about the same. Still feeling a little stressed about like what I should do from here on out. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay. How about with your parents? Have things um, how's it been trying to like navigate that situation and like have you had any conversations with them since we last talked?
I mean, I always have conversations with them. It's just I haven't brought it up yet that I don't want to be I don't want to be a doctor. Like I wasn't ready to have that conversation yet. It's just, casual conversation and like about little things here and there. They do keep asking me about, okay, how's college going? Like,
Mhm.
um, what are you thinking about in the future? And I hear like my parents, especially my mom, she's like always on the phone talking to her friends about like what other kids are doing. And when those aunties like they ask my mom, they're like, okay, what is your child doing? And then I feel like that puts pressure on my mom too to kind of get it out of me. But I'm not ready to have that conversation yet.
Yeah, no doubt. I know last time we talked, you weren't ready for that, and I wouldn't expect you to just magically be able to bring something like that up. That's something that I have written down, and I think we can work towards. It's not something that'll be super easy, and we'll jump to it. But I
Mhm.
think if we put in some work, we'll be able to come to some type of place where it'll be easier to talk to your parents, and we'll also have like kind of a plan, like not just hey, mom and dad, I don't want to be a doctor, but also this is kind of where I want to go too. That way, there's like a more reason to like bring it up because it's hard without a plan after that. It's hard to like um, say, hey, I don't want to be a doctor, but I don't know yet what. So before we do anything, we'll get some of those things established. Um,
Yeah, I'd really
so
appreciate that.
yeah, so I have some goals for us for that. Um, let's see. Last time we talked, we talked about setting you up with some community resources. Were you able to reach out to any communities? Uh, I think we set you up with some pamphlets as you when you left. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you were able to reach out about, or is there any communities that you've at least like researched?
So yeah, I've actually like the mosque I regularly go to, there are supports there. Like I could talk to a few female leaders. Well, they aren't really imams. They're like imams like in the mosque who are like usually men, and they give a lot of like lectures, and like if we go to advice for them, like they'd probably be able to give me some advice on that. Um I do know some like female leaders in the community who could also help. But I don't really know like how I should reach out to them because it's just like I go to the mosque and I see them regularly. I've never really interacted with them. Like I just listen to like the lectures they have, and
Yeah,
yeah, I've never really approached them. But
yeah,
yeah.
I can imagine it's a the type of relationship where um, it's hard to reach out
Hmm.
when if you've never done that before, right? It might
Yeah.
seem like it's coming out of nowhere. Um, yeah, so maybe that's a goal that we can set. Um, just reaching out.
Hmm.
Um, because sometimes it's good to like just set those goals to have like you could say like I plan on reaching out, but if we say you know what let's say let's try to reach out to one person before next time we meet or whatever, that
Yeah.
might get the ball rolling a little bit.
Hmm. I've actually
um
reached out to like my college advisor. Um,
oh, cool.
yeah, so like I don't know if that would count as a community resource, but I did have a meeting with her and we talked about some things. But it's I feel like she's can't really do much for me because it's like she's always just like, okay, just do what you want. I don't think she really
Yeah.
understands. Like, it's kind of hard to just do whatever I want. Like I could do whatever I want, but I have like certain values in my life that I don't want to like how to explain it, like that I don't want to conflict with. So that's why it's just hard for me to come to a decision right now and like how to go about it basically.
Yeah. So can you talk more about some of those values? Is there like constraints that you have on certain careers that you might go into, or is it maybe just talk a little bit more about that?
Well, with careers, like I mentioned last time, I don't really know what to do. So I do have to, I feel like I should continue reaching out to my advisor about finding different careers that like suit me and like maybe like shadowing different um I don't know, careers like in their field, like how people shadow doctors, but I wouldn't shadow a doctor because I don't want to be a doctor. So I think getting more information that way so I can have a better plan and like more information would be best. But in terms of values, I just like I don't want it to seem like I'm going against my parents like or like disrespecting them. I want us to both compromise because there will be compromises always made between like family members because like everyone sees things a different way, but at the end of the day it's like we all want the best for each other. It's just what they want for me, it might not be what I want for myself, but we do agree on that one thing where it's just like I think just happiness and success is like the most important thing, and we have different thoughts about that about the way of obtaining that happiness or success. But I guess the main value for me is that I don't want to disrespect my parents and um like force them to agree with my decision, if that makes sense. But I recognize that, you know, they're not gonna like they shouldn't be making decisions for me about my own life, because like at the end of the day I'm gonna have to become independent and do that. And I guess the topic of marriage keeps coming up too, and that's not a value I have. That's a value they have for me.
Yeah.
So I would want to get an education first before even thinking about marriage. um so yeah, I just don't want to compromise that my or I mean not compromise, I don't want to conflict with my family values and like go against that. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like the whatever I do, like I want to give back to my family. I want to be able to take care of them financially and stuff. So I don't want to like argue with them and like cut ties with them or anything. So my family
Sure.
is really important to me. That's why it's difficult to find a way to convince them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's admirable that you'd want to help your parents in the future, you know. I think yeah, uh when you talk to your parents, you said that they marriage is important to them, or their conversation is at least. How does that conversation go? How does it usually play out?
I mean, I guess some of their views are outdated, like old fashioned. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, when they were younger, they got married really young, and it, in especially in their generation, it's like a woman's worth is almost determined by like marriage and like her husband and like having a family and stuff like that. And right now they don't think that way completely. It's like they want me to get an education first and become established and independent in my own way. But they still think marriage is important. Like you need to have a husband, you need to have kids, and um that's that. I don't know if I even want to do that, you know, like in any time in the future. I've never really thought about it. I still feel young, but I guess like in our culture, it's just women expire at the age of 25 or something. Like you have to get married before 25. And now I'm
Yeah.
like 20, so they're like, they don't pressure me about it. But I've like growing up, I've just been like, well, not growing up, but in high school, I don't know, I've just been like seeing the people around me. I'm just like, is marriage something I want for myself anytime soon? And so I jokingly like say like, I'm not getting married, I'm gonna live with you guys forever or something, I'm gonna take care of you guys. And they're just like, what are you talking about? Like, what is your life gonna be if you're not married, you know? So that's
Right.
how that conversation usually goes. Like I just joke around, I don't take it really seriously, but they kind of take it seriously. And sometimes they're just like I don't want to talk about this because we clearly don't see eye to eye.
Right.
um yeah, so and that's like something in our culture, like even Islamically, like you're not supposed to like rush into marriage. You're not even supposed to, you can't force someone to get married. You don't even have to get married. But that's something that like they like really hold into their values. So I might be going against their values too. But I never said no to marriage. I'm just saying no right now. I don't even want to think about it because right now I'm already
Course,
stressed
yeah,
out about like my career, and they don't really know that yet because I didn't tell them about that.
sure.
But I know they're not looking for anyone or trying to get me married right now. But those topics come up because I'm getting older, and they're just like kind of like nudging at me and seeing like what I think. Um, so there's that.
Yeah, yeah, I know it's hard to think about marriage as something that could be anytime soon. It's especially when you have other stress in your life, like finding a career path.
Mhm.
So it sounds like whenever they bring this up, it's easier to just kind of deflect with like humor,
Yeah.
and just like joke about like I'm never getting married, but it's not something that's off the table. But you know, I understand you do seem like you have a good relationship with your parents for the most part, and um, making them happy is important to you.
Hmm.
But this type of thing is something that you don't want to think about right now.
Yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
think that's completely fine. When we talked last time, you mentioned that there is in your community, there's like sexism a little bit, and in the way that some of these that old traditions are like still kind of played out, even though they're a little bit out of date.
Hmm.
Um, have you reached out to anybody about that within the communities or anything like that?
Mm, I feel like a lot of like people my mom's age, like even her and like all the other aunties around her age, they they're trying not to be as outdated because like I know marriage is like really important to them. It's like the be end or what is it, be all end all or something. I don't know the phrase for it, but
Right.
it's like they also want their children and like their daughters to like get an education, but there's like certain things that like they still impose on us, and it's like they also have some sort of internalized sexism. It's not just the men in the community.
Sure.
I just see it in women too, and it's sometimes they recognize it, sometimes they don't. Like I think being a housewife is like really hard, and I respect that. I also think like being a career woman and being a mom at the same time is just as respectable and admirable. I don't think like one or the other is better, right? But what I've seen is that like the expectation, even like when they bring up marriage, the expectation is, okay, you'll have a career, but you shouldn't put your career first, right? You should like put your kids first and like cooking and cleaning and this and that. And I'm like, I feel like there could be a balance found within that. Like, but in terms of reaching out to anyone, I don't know if I can reach out to anyone. Like I mean, my mom and I talk about it. Um, because sometimes my dad can be sexist too, like he's a great dad, he's a great husband, but sometimes he does fall into these traditions too. So sometimes my mom gets frustrated and we talk about that and I let her rant a little bit. So they recognize that. But in terms of reaching out to anyone in the community, I guess I could reach out to imams and like female leaders in the mosques because Islamically that's not okay. Like sexism is not allowed. But I don't know. It's like it's hard to change people's minds once they've already stuck with it for like decades. That's what
Right.
they learned, and it's like really hard to change those traditions. But I think coming here to America, like, and getting that little Western viewpoint did change them a little bit. And I'm not saying Westernism is better than like Eastern cultures or Asian cultures. Like both have like their things, right? But I guess allowing girls more freedom is something they're more open to rather than in like Bangladesh where they're from. But things are changing in Bangladesh too. It's just I don't know who to reach out to like about this stuff because I don't really know what people think. Um,
Yeah.
there's just a general trend. So I don't want to
Yeah.
offend anyone and like try to like argue with them. That's not like I don't feel like that's my job in the community as of right now.
No. No, yeah, and I don't think it's very beneficial to argue anyways with
Yeah.
it's like that is that old expression, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Hmm.
Sometimes it relates to people in the way that like like you said, people are stuck in their ways a little bit. There is room for improvement though. And I think that what we'll do is we'll get some we'll find some community resources, not so much within the mosque, but just like maybe some student organizations where there's people your age who are maybe a little more less traditional minded and more forward thinking, but still have those values that you hold as well. And they get it from your perspective a little bit better. Then, because it can be hard to talk to somebody who's maybe a leader in the mosque, or somebody who has that role of like just like somebody that it's hard to talk to, because most of the time they're the one telling you what to do rather than you asking maybe how to change things within the community, or so we can find some stuff like that I think will be more beneficial to you. Let's see. Do you think you said that your parents in some ways perpetuate some of this sexism, but in a lot of other ways they defend your right to be who you are? If you told them that you didn't want to be a doctor, and that, but here's a path that you did want to go to that is somewhat of a compromise to what they wanted, how do you think that conversation would go?
Well, I don't think that really has anything to do with sexism or any like cultural things. It's more of like just within my community. It's about like reputation and honor. So I guess it is cultural, because it's like they want me to, because I as the oldest daughter, I'm representing the family's honor and their reputation. That's just how it goes. So I guess it is sexism too. But anyways, I feel like that conversation would be more so like this isn't a very well respected profession as much as a doctor's profession is. Like that's how they see it. I guess like other respected professions in my community are like lawyers, and I don't know, like I guess comp-sci is really common too, like computer science,
Okay.
especially among like brown men. Like I don't really see brown women going into it, but I wish to see more of them in the field since it's so male saturated. Right. But I'm not really interested in computer science. So that's more like it's like really common. And the thing is that I would get a job right after school, like after undergrad, and so they're like I would be making money right away. So that's like one benefit of that. But other than that, like other professions, I don't really know how the conversation would go, because I don't really know their opinions on like other professions and whether they see it. Like I think all careers and professions are like should be respected. You know, they all have a purpose.
Yeah,
All of it's like hard work. And I'm sure they recognize that too. It's just that they want me to be like, I don't know, at the top or something, the best of the best or something like that. So yeah, I don't really know like how that conversation would go. It's just they think that being the doctor is like the best thing that I could go into, and so yeah,
that's where they want to push you into it. Yeah. I mean there's I get wanting to push your daughter into like the best she can be, and I'm sure that's their intentions. But
yeah,
if
I'm
it's
sure like they see, oh sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm sure it's because they see like potential in me. Like I could like go in, like I'm like they forced me to go to like a suburban school, even though I live in an urban area, because sometimes urban education is underfunded, although like I think education is like valuable anywhere. But they did like kind of like want me to go to a suburban high school, and like looked at rankings and this and that of like each high school. And so they see that I'm like working really hard, and like I can handle the work, and I guess they think I'm intelligent enough, but I don't want to put myself through medical school, even though they see that potential in me. I just don't want to. Yeah,
medical school is a lot. it's a lot for anybody to undertake.
For
So I can
sure.
understand where you're coming from. So, I'm glad that you were able to reach out a little bit to some people. Is there anyone in your life that you talk about these things, friends or any family members outside of your parents? I know like this is important for it to stay between me and you and maybe a few others where you don't want it to get out to your parents. Was there anybody else you can talk to about these things?
So I always talk to my friends about it because they're like in a similar spot. But like one of my friends, she's going to computer science, so like her parents are gonna be fine with that. The rest of my friends are all going to medical school, so they kind of like, and they want that for themselves, so they kind of did what their parents would like them to do.
Right.
But like I talk to my friends about it, and they're the people I rely on most. I vent to them a lot. I rant to them a lot, and like they're really like culturally similar to me, and like especially like my Muslim Bengali friends, like they understand what I'm going through and like how difficult it is. But at the end of the day, like it's like it's not like they can convince my parents. They don't really know what to do, because if they were in that situation, they wouldn't know what to do either.
Right. Yeah. It's hard for anybody in your community to think about doing something like this. So we'll definitely make sure that we have a plan before we do anything, and make sure that we'll do things when you're comfortable. Have you given any, you said that you're still not really sure. Have you given any thought to potential career paths? Do you think there's anything out there that might be like a good, that might cater towards your strengths?
So, well, I've been looking into like some other, because I didn't decide my major yet, but I am looking into other things right now for undergrad. And I think I like psychology, but it's just that I don't really know like what I can do with that as a career. I think one thing is that my parents would be really open to me going into getting a PhD afterwards, or like what is it, a PsyD or whatever, because that's like a doctorate. So I think that could be one thing. I'm just not sure if I want to do that yet.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's a lot of schooling if you went that far, but there's pathways within psychology where you don't have to take it all the way to a PhD or a PsyD. So I mean, that's a good start. I actually have a little exercise for us to do. If you're okay with that, I was thinking we could kind of like make a little list of and maybe talk about some of your strengths.
yeah, sure.
So is there can you name like a couple strengths that you see in yourself or that other people have told you that are some of your strengths?
Well, I think most people would say, and I'd like to think that I am like reliable, and that like I'm very supportive, like with my little brother. Like I know he can always rely on me if he needs anything. I mean, we have like a kind of a big age gap, so sometimes I feel like a second mother to him. And for my parents too, like they rely on me in some ways, like for translations of like different documents, and like helping them get to like places like doctor's appointments, this and that. So, and then with my friends, it's like I'm always like listening to them, and like I'm not like, I don't want to always rant to them. Like I always welcome them to rant to me too. So we're always like I feel like people would say I'm kind of reliable and supportive in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. You've mentioned before how you are someone who your little brother looks up to, and somebody who your parents rely on for translation, and among other things. Your friends come to you with different situations, and That's a really good quality to have for someone who, let's say, if you wanted to go into psychology, that's a very important quality to have. If people come to you with things, then that might be a good career path. Is there anything else? Let's try to get like 3 or 4, maybe 5 at most.
I would say I'm a hard worker. I don't know if that counts. Like whenever I put my mind to something, like I'm gonna like get it done. Even though I'm like a procrastinator, like if I want to try something new, like I'm gonna work hard at it. Especially like if I like doing it, like different hobbies and stuff, like getting good at stuff. Like I like doing that too. So like challenging myself in those ways and trying out new things is one thing, and another thing is like working hard at different things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So hard worker. Um, it's apparent to me that you're a hard worker, just in the way that you describe yourself, and so, but I think that's also a very important quality to have with school, in life in general. I think that's something that you can kind of wear on your shoulders, is like a chip on your shoulder, that you are a hard worker. And no matter what, nobody can take that away from you. What about something else?
I would say, okay, this might kind of go into that reliable, supportive bracket, but I would say I'm a good listener. Like if anyone has anything to say to me, rather than giving advice, like I like listening, and I would say I have a good level of empathy. I don't know, but yeah, I think that's a strength that others might say.
Yeah, I think so as well. Empathy is huge. I mean, it's not something that everybody can do, or at least tap into all the time. So empathy, being a good listener, these are things that are imperative if you are looking for a career in psych or in anything really. Any career path that you thought would be good for you, eventually working your way up to a manager's position or whatever it is, being a good listener and having empathy in other people's situations is important. So that's a really good quality to have. Let's get one more, and then we can move on.
Well, I've never really thought about this before, so it's kind of hard to come up with stuff.
Yeah, sure. Take your time. It's not something that you need to like most people don't have like those things right off the top of their head. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to think about yourself.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good exercise to do, because it brings out these things in you. Last time we talked about you wanting to have a better self-image, and right here, just in the time that we've had, you're a reliable person, you're a hard worker, you're a good listener, and you can empathize with people. I mean, I think those are all great qualities to have as a person.
Thank you.
So yeah.
I would say I'm like really organized. Like I have like a bunch of planners, and like so I have like an agenda planner that I write in for every day, and then I have like a big calendar board that I like mark stuff like deadlines with a what are those called? Like those markers like on the whiteboard. Or dry erase markers. And then I have and then I have like an online I don't know if that's part of like how sometimes I feel anxious, so I'm like I want to have stuff everywhere so I can see everything, and like I know I'm not going to miss a deadline or miss an appointment or something. So even online, like I use Google Calendar. So I think I'm like maybe overly organized, but I think that's a strength too, because yeah, I think I might not be good at time management, but I'm organized.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good quality to have in school, when you're in school, when you're eventually find your career path and you're working. People people who are organized gain trust through other people. So no matter what you choose as your career path, you're going to need to build trust with people. And if you're organized and you're on time to things, and if you're the reliable one, like you've mentioned, and you're a hard worker, a good listener, all this, and organized, people will trust you. And that's something that's not super easy for everybody to build. But for you, it seems like through your relationships, through your parents, your brother, your all your friends, it seems like they all have trust in you. So it's a very good thing to have.
Yeah, I think I just don't like clutter. So like even with my emails, like I like regularly delete emails. And like I try to keep my desk organized. Yeah, I think that's just something I like got in the habit of. So yeah.
I'm the same way. If I have too many tabs open on my computer, it drives me nuts. There's times when I have to keep a bunch of tabs open because I have to keep referencing the same things and I don't want to lose it. And it really gives me stress.
Mm-hmm.
Not too bad. It's not like a really truly bad thing. It's kind of like a good amount of stress, so I know to go back to it. But still,
Yeah.
once I can close those out, it's like the best feeling. It's the most satisfying.
It's so satisfying and refreshing. Like I always have like a Google Doc folders. That's another thing I do. Like I have Google Doc folders for like work and like all my classes and this and that. So like I have so many things open. But when I'm done, it really is the best feeling ever.
Get rid of it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a good idea. I've found that writing things down that you have to do or whatever, it's almost like I'm taking it out of my brain and putting it on a piece of paper or on a Google Doc or somewhere else so that it doesn't live inside me. So maybe I was thinking maybe, have you ever had a journal or written in a journal before?
I think when I was younger, I had like a diary sort of thing. But I'm scared of journaling because it's like if someone finds it, they can literally just like read it, and I trust my family, but I don't know, I still get like scared that it's there. And like I'm there, it's just like an open book basically. And I don't like writing, I like typing. So like I guess journaling like online, but then I'm scared of like I don't know, like online data leaks and like online privacy. Like I feel like, for example, if I type on Google Drive or something like a Google Doc, I feel like Google could literally just access it anytime they want if they wanted to. So like I'm so scared of my thoughts being seen anywhere. So I guess I still don't do that anymore. But yeah, I've tried it before and it was like helpful, and like sometimes I liked going back and seeing like, oh, this is how I felt that day.
Right.
Oh, that was fun, and I can reminisce. Or then I see something like, okay, this was a bad day, but like I got over it, and it was just
exactly.
Yeah, it was like it was nice to do that. But my thoughts were like a little more coherent back then. It was like childish and innocent. So I don't really care if anyone saw it. It would just be embarrassing at most. But now I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't want people to know about me.
Big issues,
big issues,
It feels a lot more weight attached to them nowadays.
Sure.
Yeah, well, if you it's up to you, but I think that keeping a journal, it doesn't have to be a physical journal or anything. You could type or whatever. And if it causes you more stress to do it, then don't do it. If it's causing you more stress with the prospect of maybe somebody finding it, then it's not worth it. But if it helps in the way that you can get some of these emotions and feelings out, it might be a good idea. So maybe that's something you can try in the future, but it's completely up to you.
I could also like try to do like audio journals, like voice notes in the voice recording app or memo app or whatever it's called, like on iPhones. Because then it's like I feel like people are less prone to. I don't know why. I don't know why I feel like people are more prone to like look at diaries or journals, but it's like with audio stuff, it's like there's so much. And if I name it something different, like okay, this is like for class or something, like people won't really look into it.
Right. Yeah. I can't imagine going into somebody's computer or their phone or something and seeing something that's labeled for class and wanting to click on
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So maybe that's a good idea in a way to keep that private, but also a way to like kind of take that thought outside of your brain and leave it somewhere so that it's not inside of you, just welling
Yeah.
up all the time.
And I think it's more convenient for me too because sometimes I have like wrist problems like typing. So like then I'm like gonna be less prone to journaling if I want to make that a regular habit.
Mhm.
So there's that. And I like the feeling of like, okay, like maybe I like do a little rant letter or something like through an audio form and then I delete it and it's like I threw it in the
Yeah.
trash. So I was feeling the trash. So
Yeah, I mean that can be a huge tool to use too. If you need to get something out, put it somewhere and then get rid of it. That's, I mean, just mentally that takes it out of your brain and then it sends it out into the universe where it's just
mhm,
gone.
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that could be a really good tool for you to use. Um, so I have so actually let me skip forward a little bit. Um, Last time we talked, you mentioned that when I brought up suicide, you mentioned that you had thoughts in the past, and maybe it came up once or twice. And when I asked you if you wanted to make that a goal, you said, "Yeah, let's get into that in the future." Is that something you'd like to talk about today?
Um, I'm not sure if today because that was like such a long time ago. And I feel like as I grew up, I started to like value my family more and I would never like do anything to like hurt them. So, and it wasn't really a good time for me back then. Um, so like I don't know, like I don't think it's relevant right now, but maybe in the future, because sometimes I still like feel anxious and I sometimes I feel depressed because of all the stress in my life. But I don't think that way anymore. Um,
Okay.
but yeah.
That's great to hear. I'm glad that you feel you don't have those feelings anymore. And if it did happen in the past, it's sometimes it's better to keep it in the past. But just I want you to feel free to talk to me about it anytime you want. If it's something that's coming up more nowadays, we can bring it up, or if it's something that you want to talk about from the past just to get it out, we can talk about that as well. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and then, so I have a little bit of homework for you, if that's okay.
No
Uh,
worries.
so, um, you can, it's not something that you're going to turn into me. So you don't have to actually, but I think that it would be beneficial for you, since you're really close with your friends. I think that if you could ask three of your friends to give you three positive characteristics that describe you. Um, so this is, think of it like extra credit. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So if if you feel comfortable enough to reach out to somebody and say, hey, you know what, just for fun, write down three things that you that are positive characteristics that describe me or you,
Hmm.
right? And that way you can, and that might bring up some things that that you didn't realize that might be clues to what you could potential career paths in the future. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It might be something that you're like, oh, I never thought of myself that way, but um, that's a good idea. I do have that characteristic.
Hmm.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
All right. So
And
um,
would you want me to like I know I don't have to turn it into you, but I'm assuming we would talk about it next session. So
if you want to, yeah.
should I like write it down or
Yeah, have them send it to you. Maybe text them and just
okay.
have them send it to you.
Sounds good.
Or if you want to, you can ask them in person. and kind of just remember it or write it down. And that way, next time that we talk, if you want it, we can include that in our goals in like, because what one of the things that we want to do in the future is narrow down some career paths for you.
Yeah.
And find out what interests you, what you think, some of these characteristics about you that are positive, and also some of the characteristics that your friends have about you. All of these things we could use to kind of like form an idea of a path that we want to discover. And it could be the case that we go down a path and you realize, I don't really like that one, and we'll go to a different one.
Yeah.
There's no pressure for you to find something right now. So we'll just keep it going as it plays out. So as far as goals for this week, I know you want to find some kind of compromise for your parents that's not being a doctor, but maybe something that you enjoy that also is consistent with some of your family values.
Yeah.
And the values in your culture. So we'll try to find something like that in the future, a little bit more. So that's maybe like a long-term goal that we can have. A short-term goal, I think, is reaching out to your friends and finding some positive things that they have to say about you. I think that's going to serve a couple purposes. We can build a better self-image for you, because whatever they say is going to just reflect highly upon you. And some of the things that you've already told me, I think are really good for that too. So is there anything that you'd like to add? Is there anything that you want us to talk about outside of that?
No, I think those two goals are good, like creating a better self-image and figuring out like different career options, because I definitely do need to do more research on that. So I think those are good for now.
Okay. Another one that I want to do is reach out to maybe some student organizations.
Oh yeah, okay.
And see if that's helpful for you. And because I think that maybe if you reach out to those, they might be in a similar situation as you, or they might have already navigated through that situation and said, I didn't want to be a doctor either. All my friends wanted to be doctors, so it worked out for them. But it just didn't work out for me, and this is how I got through it. It might not be the case, but it's worth looking into, I think. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think that's all I have for you. Just in the interest of time, we're pretty much at the end of our session here. Is there anything else going on in your life that you'd like to talk about, or is there anything that happened this week that we haven't talked about already?
Not that I can think of any right now. It's just everything we've been talking about. That's currently what's going on. Like, I'm usually just busy with work or school. And then with what you just said about like reaching out to student orgs, I know there are like first gen students, college students who like have their own student org. So I feel like looking into that could be a good step for me.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Yeah, maybe they have some good insight for you, and maybe you'll meet some friends through that. Okay, so let's see. I don't think I have anything else for you. I think we've established the goals that we want to reach for this coming up week. And we will, does the same time next week work for you?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so we will set that up for next week, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
You too.
Bye.